On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're bringing you inside designer Vincent Wolf's New York City loft. After leaving Cuba when he was young, Vincent discovered his true passion for design after settling in New York. Balanced by globally sourced furnishings and an earthy color palette, he has transformed his home of nearly 40 years into a modern and timeless space. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Welcome, Homeworthy. Why don't you come in to my New York City loft and let me show you around. Hi, my name is Vincent Wolf and I'm an interior designer. So a lot of people ask me how I got into interior design, and it was just, I had tried so many different careers and none of them really worked out. I'm dyslexic, so I had to fit into the right situation, and that worked out very well. It was close to 50 years ago that I started, and it was, it's just like duct water. I was looking for a space to live. I knew a few things. I wanted to be in a loft. I wanted sun. I wanted views. Not about big Central Park South views, but not a building 20 feet away. And I started to look in the Flatiron area, in all different areas. But the cost, I was renting, and the cost was really quite, at the time for me, astronomical. And I started to look here in Hill's Kitchen, and I came up to this apartment. It used to be at the time a photographer's studio. The windows were so dirty that you really couldn't see out. The whole place was painted Kelly green. And it was really, really dirty. But as this is what I do for a living, I can see past those things. And I thought, this is perfect. And I took it. And it was in 1988. So you can see I've stuck to it. And to me, it's to see the sun coming through those windows. I love plants, and all the people, they're people to me, really do great. And it's a wonderful space. And like 4 buildings away is my office. So not a long commute, and near the river. You know, who could ask for more? I was 15 years old. In 61, we went from, I left Cuba with my cousin on it wasn't a fishing boat, it was somebody's private boat, but it wasn't a rowboat, it was, you know, there were cabins and things like that. And we went to Miami. My father had already left Cuba, and then my mother left like a year later, because she was trying, her mother was there and she wanted to stay with her. As refugees, and it's happening in Ukraine, it's happening in so many places now in the world, I mean, you have to leave your home and you go into a situation where whatever it was you were doing before doesn't exist. He was a successful businessman, and when I got to Miami, he was cooking hamburgers in the Burger King. My mother came, she was mopping floors in the building where we lived. He came to New York, they separated, and I came to visit. And the first time I walked on Madison Avenue and I looked at the buildings, I said, this is where I want to be. I mean, it was an immediate connection. You know, the museums, the art, the fashion. It was just the excitement compared to being in Miami in the 60s, which was a very depressed period, was really what made me stay in New York. The main part of this apartment is this room with amazing light that comes in through the windows. But the important thing for me in this room is the photography. I've been collecting for the last, I would say, 40, 45 years. And some of them are photographs that I've had for a long time, some like the Moncasi over here, or Bernice Abbott, are images that I have had for a long time and are very important to me. I love picture ledges, and I've been doing that for a long time, and I think it's great for a collector because you're able to move things around. If I get a new piece, I can take this one away and put this one in. And so you can see, you just space them at the right distance, and then you're able to put all different sizes of pieces, from small, rectangular, to very large. You know, it's a mixture. This apartment has things that I've lived with for a long time and other things that have just come in. The bench I've had for a long time. It was a piece that I reproduced for a company called Henriton in my collection of furniture. There are just a lot of different things from a lot of different places. I travel a lot, so to me, whether it's this bed from Borneo to the table that I bought in Italy, you'll see around the apartment toys. I have a cat. He will come out pretty soon. The painting that was given to me as a gift is a great pop of color. Here's a totally white, neutral environment, but the fact that this color just jumps out of the wall gives the room a totally different personality. Lantana, I've had her for a while. I've collected through the years fragments of Buddhas that I have bought in my travel through Southeast Asia. And they all are the lower part of the Buddha, the hands and the crossed legs. And I've had them in all different types. Here are the hands, here's another torso. And I've just, each time I'm traveling, which I do once a year in Southeast Asia, that's one of the things, whenever I see one, I buy. The city looks great. Over here outside, you see all these new buildings that have gone up. So at night, it's a great place to, I have a terrace to dine in the terrace and, you know, with the New York City skyline. Let me show you my exercise, guest room, TV room, which is over here. And instead of a door, what I've done is I did a curtain. So the curtain goes across, and when I have guests, that's what I do, close it, and they have privacy. If not, it just stays open. Statue is from the 1930s, and I bought it at auction in Paris. I have a few nudes throughout the apartment. I love the fact of the scale of it, and I love sculpture from that period. The female torsos that were done have such movement to them and really beautiful grace. In this room, here's another nude. The pills are from Damien Hirsch, and it was a series that he did, oh my God, like around 15, 18 years ago. Again, this is a upholstered mattress that when I have a guest, this becomes a bed. I exercise over here. Books on photography. Again, more ledges with photography. These are at J, which, you know, I loved his work. It was at the turn of the century in France. I'm a trustee for God's Love We Deliver. And every year, God's Love has a special event. And whoever contributes gets a big diamond. So you can see I've been contributing for a few years. It's a great institution. They feed close to 2 million meals a year. If you're sick, if you're unable, they feed you, bring you food to your home. They follow you the diet that you have to eat, whether you, if you're sick, and if you have a child, the child is fed as well. It's really an amazing, not a charity, but a goodwill situation. I like the juxtaposition of the picture to the chair, the artist, Michel Brechner. I like, in compositions, I always like a high, a medium, and a low. And this does it very well. It's high, medium, low, lower. In fact, it became the back cover of my book with the cat coming in. So I love the tonalities. I would say that chair. But I love that chair, and I bought this in Ethiopia. What they are is they all have a meaning. They all have a memory. And they're all being selected through my aesthetic. So it's not that it's Aunt Lucy's horrible vase because it's there because Aunt Lucy left it to you when she died. These are all things that, to me, I bought it because I loved it, and I still do. So I've been working on this book for the last 3 years. It's been a labor of love. It was written by Margaret Russell, who used to be the editor-in-chief of Architectural Digest and Elle Decor. And it talks about different types of jobs and what I brought to create what the client was looking for. And there are lessons learned in each job. So there are things, a section in each story about what I learned, whether how to run a wood floor, how to deal with particular colors, which I think is very instructive to the readers. As well, it talks about how I began in the history of my work from when I first started doing interior design. I have no formal education in design, or really, I never graduated high school. So all of my life is very instinctual. I design as what comes out. I always joke that there are two people inside. There's a Cuban refugee that can't believe that I am where I am, and then there's a designer that's very much in control of the situation. I think that my background, affects how I deal with light, about plants, because I grew up in the Caribbean, so it was very green. And the sense of irrelevance, that really has helped me as it pertains to mixing things and a lack of formality. And as I said, a sense of humor. I mean, not a chuckle, but just sort of, you look at things and there's something quirky about it. People ask me, wow, not how did you end up being a designer, but with no formal education and no training. But I think living in New York, it's a city that if you have talent, if you have something to bring to the table, you succeed. And I think that was really the gift that I got from a higher power, is to have come to New York, because it allowed me to be who I am, not pretend to be anything but who I am, and not be homeless because being dyslexic, I can't spell, I have no memory. I have a lot of shortcomings that in the business world would not have helped me very much. So I was lucky. Again, I said, being in the right place at the right time. I think if a higher power puts that in your way is the biggest gift you can get. As I said, I moved in here in '88. A few years later, I bought this apartment, which is this main room, that room that we were just at, and then the kitchen. A few years later, the apartment next door became available. So I bought that and put it together. This present apartment came to this wall over here, and from there on is the second apartment. As you can see, there are no window treatments. I don't want to stop any light from coming in. And only 4 years ago, these buildings went in across the street. So I had full privacy and I got accustomed to no window treatments. This is the library. It's a library, it's a dining room, it's where I keep the plants. It's a gallery. As you can see, every photograph in here has to do with hands. Among the collections that I have are these shells which are used in Buddhist ceremonies during the process of reading the scriptures. It's a horn, this is what it is, you blow in here, a horn, a dagger, and a bell. And those are, as you're reading, different things happen. So I've been collecting these for many years. The dining table is by Janssen, and it was done in the 60s. It opens up and it gets 2 leaves. So you're able to sit a lot of people. The first time I saw this table, I was in Paris in the early 70s. And I was in somebody's apartment and they had the table and I thought, wow, isn't that an amazing table? So when I was able to buy one, I did. People say, my God, so many chairs. And a lot of them have come through different reasons. You know, a set of 4 chairs had to be bought only to use 3 in a job, and I bought the 4th one. Chairs that I bought in my travels. Chairs that I've designed like this one. So you can see here all the books. And when I bought the second apartment, this used to be a bedroom, that was the living room, and on the other side of this wall was the kitchen and bathroom. But there were no windows. So as you see here, there's glass, which I'll show you from the other side. I did frosted glass across the whole wall, so natural light enters the bathroom. So like this, when you're in there, you have the sense that there is a window. The photograph over here is by Richard Avedon, and it's Stravinsky, the composer. And what's amazing is how within the triptych, how he looks just sort of not present, and as it proceeds, he comes alive. You know, I've always loved his music, and so when Dick did the show, I bought this photograph. When you collect, you're a caretaker. You're going to hold on to these things for a period of time, and then they pass on to somebody else. I mean, whatever is here is because I love it, because if not, why have it? So I don't know. I can tell you my favorite plants, my favorite photographs, my favorite chair, but I love them all. And it's interesting, maybe it's because of the light, of the openness, but I look at almost every object in this place every day. You know, as I'm walking through here, I look at the photographs. In the living room, I do the same thing. When I'm exercising, I look at the objects. I think to have things in your home that don't mean anything whether you believe it after looking at the space, I'm a minimalist thinker. I like modern environments, even if almost everything in here is old, but the space is still contemporary. If it doesn't mean anything, why have it? Less is more. The majority of the work that I do for clients is alterations, demolition, renovating spaces. When I moved in here, what appealed to me, besides the sun and the view, was the industrial quality to it. So I didn't want to touch that. I felt that I think lofts should be approached with what they are and not trying to make them anything more than what they are. So the sprinkler systems, the radiators, the concrete floors, all these things stayed as they were. There was certainly, when I bought the second apartment, there were certain things that were done. What used to be a bedroom is now a gym, and so I opened that up. Created the library when I got the second apartment, put in a bathroom. But basically the essence of what the space is really has not changed. I didn't try to make it what it wasn't. Let me show you the bedroom. For privacy, I installed a large-scale door that slides across and closes off this room. So behind the door is another television. So at night, I close it and I watch television. Again, more chairs, everywhere chairs. My plants, more photography. These are my favorite photographs. Steichen, Weston, images that to me represent the strength of photography. And the bed, I love beds. I love laying in bed and reading. I just started reading this great book on Karl Lagerfeld, which it's an amazing book. Again, you can see nothing is formula. There's no formulas here. There's no sort of like, well, you have a bed and you need a night table. It's all sort of things in a very loose way, which I think it goes with what a loft should be. It's not an apartment. It's, an industrial space. So I like the looseness on it. This is like 50 years of collecting. Photography, I stopped collecting like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. If you can't show it, then why buy it? And I started to collect drawings, paintings. I think you reach a stage in your life that you think, why keep adding? You should be subtracting. And I have so much stuff here to subtract from that I just didn't need to add anymore. Really, the only things that I buy are in my travels. I like to buy a small object when I travel from each place. I was just in Hawaii, and in Montauk, I have a collection of dolphins that I've bought from different parts of the world, the wood-carved dolphins. So I write where I bought it and at what date. But besides that, really, plants is the only thing that gets added here. It's a great desk, which I bought in Indonesia. The top is all one solid piece of wood. The painting I bought in Australia, it's an interesting artist because all he does is he paints himself in different outfits. So here he is on both sides of the mattress. The skull I bought in France, this artist that creates all these iron skeletons. And here is my dressing room, and instead of doors, again, I use curtains. I wanted the sense of softness in the space, and beyond is the bathroom. You can see here the glass, frosted glass, how the light comes through it. So you're not in a bathroom inside of a cave. You're still connected to the outside. I used an old table from Java in Indonesia, and I mounted a sink on it, which again, it follows through on the thinking of the space, which is yin and yang, different objects, different ideas put together. And at the other side of this wall is my shower. And in the niche, I have a jolly, which is what in India is called a window. And it's one piece of marble carved with frosted lighting behind. And now you've walked through my whole apartment. People ask me what was the theory behind what this apartment has become. And the reality is, which is, when you're working for a client, you have to come up with a concept. It has to be very clear. It has to be very precise. In this space, there are two things that really ran the show: the plans and the photography. The rest are all things that come in and go out. Certain pieces I've had for a long time, but other ones just sort of keep evolving. I travel a great deal, so there are things in here from the bed, which came from Borneo, to a chair from Paris, or something from Africa, or from Ethiopia. They all come in. They're pieces that I find, I love. They come in, live with them for a while, and then they go on to a different home. So it's all how to, because I speak the language of mixing. Certainly for myself, I know how to juxtaposition things. So it doesn't have to follow a theory. It's what looks right with each other. We live such a race life in New York. The house I have at the beach is on the ocean. And to this day, and I've had that house since '84, I look at it and I can't still believe that all the gifts that I've gotten by just being decently good at what I do. And I think only in this country. I mean, if you were in Europe, it's what's your background, who do you know? South America or, Southeast Asia, where were you in society? In New York, if you have some talent, personality, looks, the door opens. And only if you destroy it or mess it up, you have a high chance of succeeding. As I said, I've been here since 1988. So would I consider this my home? Not really. This is where I take care of the plants, go to sleep, get up, go to work, exercise. My home is the house I have in Montauk. And it's my home because the garden is outside. It's my private space. This is very much a public space. Here you are in my home right now, and there are people that come here through business, charities, guests. So it's where I live, but I wouldn't call it my home. I would call it where I live.
Thanks for watching. For more Homeworthy content, be sure to like and subscribe.